we go with Jeremy Scott.
From the cold, dark depths of a secret dungeon somewhere deep in the remote Pacific Northwest, good evening to you. I'm Jeremy Scott, and it's so good to be spending this Sunday evening with you. Our program tonight called The Purging of Humanity, a very important subject. It will make sense, trust me, it certainly will. We're not talking about mass extermination either, but we are talking about a purge. Yes, we're talking about a purge. Doesn't it feel like we are in the end of days? It certainly does to me. I made this point last night on the program, and I will second that here right now. More so than ever in my life, it feels like talking of end of days, believing we're end of days, is not far-fetched. Now, if it's not the end of days, it is definitely a purging. It's definitely a purging. Some even call it a reset. Others, like my guest tonight, call it the Great Change. But that's what we're talking about. Not everybody is going to survive this. We're seeing one of those purges happen right now in the current COVID-19 situation. For better or for worse, there's a purge going on. And in various other situations, there's purging going on. Abortion is a purge of a human life. Murder is a purge of a human life. Suicide, there's been so many suicides, countless suicides from doctors and just from people who can't handle the pain of losing their business and losing their livelihoods due to COVID, due to riots, due to police brutality, due to everything that's running through our country right now. So there is a purge upon purge upon purge going on right now, and not everybody is going to make it through. And I will just say, this is not a gloom and doom show, like I mentioned last night as we set the stage for tonight. This, in fact, is a very positive message. I have read the book of my guest that will be on the program tonight. It's a quick read, it's a very important read, and it's a message that we're going to share tonight on the program. You see, in these troubled days, I think it's safe to say that we're all seeking some sort of sanity. Many of us are struggling with our sanity. And it's not just a thing we face here in America. The whole world is dealing with these issues. But imagine if there could be a way out of the current chaos in the world today. Could we be at the dawn of a new era, an era of peace and enlightenment? Wajid Hassan is here to reveal universal truths to inspire us and help raise our vibrations even higher to be of a greater service to every life stream that needs healing and upliftment in these troubled times. Call to action, so to speak. Through the guidance, teaching, and experiences with his spiritual teacher, along with his unique mystical experiences, including that of an amazing spiritual contact he experienced with the UFO out in the wilderness, Wajid demonstrates how to reignite the spiritual flame within us and send it outwards to all in his book, The Struggle for World Sanity. He was born in Pakistan. He was raised in England and then settled in America. He's lived an interesting and varied life from a self-service and from a field service engineer, to a stand-up comedian with over 20 years as a union actor doing voiceover, narration, commercials, as well as TV and movie roles. Wajid also encompasses over 40 years experience in the field of metaphysics as well, healing, spirituality, and New Age concepts. So good to have you here tonight.
It's fantastic to be here, Jeremy. Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. So, there's a purge going on right now, I understand. I can see it. I can sense it. What about you?
You'd have to be an imbecile not to sense it. Everybody on the planet is sensing it. There's a sense of fear, anxiety, depression. it's in the mind belt of Earth right now, and these um, I totally agree with you. There is some kind of a purge, means an abrupt or violent removal of a group of people, and I like what you said. That it's not just the COVID. There's been purges going on left, right, and center in other various ways.
Yeah.
Endless wars, economic situations. So the whole scenario right now is not looking good.
I mean, child sex trafficking, drug smuggling. I mean, it's a nasty world out there.
It's terrible. It's terrible. But and I like what you had to say, that what, this is not what humanity is gonna is ending up as. This is not the end of the world as such. I do agree with you that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Now, is it going to happen tomorrow? I don't think so. Is it going to happen in 10 years? I probably not. Is it going to happen maybe in 100 years? Maybe. But there is, for every action, and there's an opposite and equal reaction. So we have created the conditions that we are in right now. My yogi master, Dr. George King, years ago wrote a fantastic book called You Are Responsible. He didn't say, that they are responsible. He said, you are responsible. So we as a whole, and again, you threw out, well, it's not only America, it's the whole world. And you're right. It's affecting everybody on the planet. And what the great change, as far as I'm concerned, of the information that I received from my yogi master, is that it's going to be something that's going to be glorious. I'm here to let your listeners know that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and we are going to get over this. I mean, as far as COVID is concerned, there's been pandemics, world pandemics in the past, as the Great Plague, Spanish flu. I mean, that killed those things killed millions. Cholera, or in the South Asia, has killed millions. And so, just recently, you're talking about Ebola, SARS, and all these other stuff. AIDS came in a few years ago. So these things come and go. I think COVID will probably they will probably get a vaccine, and probably by the end of the year it may stabilize. But that's just a minor issue of what's happening with mankind right now. These things will still plague mankind, and like you say, there's the endless wars, the economy, and we could go on the doom and gloom. But my message tonight is to let your listeners know that there's an answer from above. There's an answer from beings who are more spiritually and technologically advanced than we will be in millions of years. And it's time for us not to look down on our iPhones and read the doom and gloom, but look up into the skies and reach out to the skies and contact these spiritual beings who man these UFOs. And so that's my message tonight.
Yeah, and so there is a connection there, and I want us to make sure that we get there. And the reason that it might take 100 years for us to achieve life's purpose here is because of what I call knucklehead thinking, and basically what that is that we don't learn from history. We don't learn
Exactly.
what has been successful. We don't learn what has worked and what has not worked. And we certainly have not learned in the course of time how to treat people and how not to treat people, because we're just recreating Earth's problems over and over and over and tenfold, and it just escalates. And so even though we have all these issues right now facing us, and as you mentioned, COVID is only one of them, but race relations and everything else. These have been issues that have been facing mankind for hundreds of years and likely will continue. So your book, although fitting at a perfect time when we need to hear this message, more folks, I think, hope hopefully will be receptive to that message.
Well, it's not hundreds of years, Jeremy. It's millions of years.
That's true.
My
That's true.
Hundreds of years just recent, not even thousands of years. We as a race have really messed it up, but we've created such a hole that we sunk ourselves into that we can. The rise is going to be spectacular, and so coming back to my yogi master. I mean, some people he was a Western master of yoga. It's really interesting that a lot of people in the West, they go to India to seek a yogi master, and they go searching in the Himalayas, and right in front of them was this yogi master that I found, who was probably one of the most advanced masters who ever walked the face of the earth. A lot of these yogi masters of India, they can do fantastic things like levitate, go through walls, do tremendous healing. And one thing they can do, which we can't do yet, we will be able to do in the future, is that they can raise their consciousness and they can physically project from their body into their astral body. And my master said, he said, one of the finest spacecraft ever created in the universe is the astral body. If you can learn to project from it consciously, you can go anywhere in the blink of an eye, withstanding heat, light, and all that. It's just a tremendous creation that we have in ourselves. So what these advanced yogi masters are able to do is like um, a yogi master like my master. He could look at your aura and just study your aura, which is around your physical body, the psychic sense, and all that. But the aura has also a complete history of your past, present, and they can figure out your future as well. So they can look at your aura. He looked at mine once and gave me a validation, which I wrote in the book of my past life that I had. But they can read all your history from the past, from your past lives, to the present and to the future. Now, if you look at that on a global scale, the same occurs to the planet on which we reside. And as you know, our planet is not just a cold piece of rock. It's a beautiful, living, breathing goddess. And what he was able to do was physically project. We do that in our sleep, but we do it unconsciously. We project, part of our consciousness projects out of our body when we sleep, and we go to different realms when we sleep, and then we come back. So I'm sure you're aware of that. But uh, on the higher scale, he was able to read the aura of the planet, and any highly intelligent life stream that in the universe or the solar system, they can go and they can read the aura of a planet, and in there is, uh, I would guess what's called a super kind of super colossal computer called the Akashic Records. And when you're in this conscious projected state, you can read in complete detail, probably three-dimensional detail, the total history of the planet. And he wrote a book, 1960, around the early 60s, called The Nine Freedoms. And in there, he managed to project from his body and read the true history of the human race. And I'll quickly outline it, so that your listeners will understand why we are in this predicament right now. And please feel free to interrupt me if you have any questions. But
Okay.
it's very important. It's very important that your listeners get the reality. I mean, my master. It's really funny. I saw this program he was on in LA in 1973, called Talkback. It was a little segment on a TV station in LA, and he got up there and talked about flying saucers, and even the beings he was in contact with, and even then, the presenters were you know uh, just being real rude to him. And when he stated back in the 50s and all that he was in contact with the higher beings, everybody laughed at him, they spat at him, and they ignored him. And people like you and me and your listeners, we are not abnormal people. We're actually very intelligent people. We're actually the normal people because our intuition, our minds have opened ourselves up to the possibility of life on other planets, um, of extraterrestrials who are more not only scientifically but more spiritually advanced than we are, and who have observed us for millions of years. And so we are the normal, and for some reason, um, there's some kind of cover up or red flag or whatever in the media that makes us look like weirdos. But the real weirdos are the ones that laugh at us and say that, or laugh at our listeners and say that, oh, you're weird. And then later on down the road, maybe 200-300 years later, what a yogi master said today would be proved down the road, 200-300 years later by scientists. But anyway, coming back to the history of the earth, the Bible talks about Adam and Eve and the fall, from the Garden of Eden, and there's, I mean, that story is a kind of a bit of a fable or fairy tale, but it has a lot of truth in it because 18 million years ago, we were a very highly advanced race. We're not from this planet. We're actually from a planet called Maldek, which was in orbit between Jupiter and Mars.
All of us are?
And all of us, yeah, we're all extraterrestrials. We're not Earthlings. This is, my master.
And your
He
master is
when
Dr.
he
George King. Let's make that clear as well.
Yes, my master is Dr. George King. And he one thing that he did years ago. He made a pledge that when he got up on the podium or when he went on the radio or when he talked to anybody, that between him and his creator, he would tell the truth. And his main message was, if you stick to truth, you'll find truth. And no matter what, and it cost him. At one point, everybody left him. Um, and, it cost him popularity, cost him money, but he stood by what he believed was true. So coming back to what he studied in the Akashic records, was that 18 million years ago, we were on this planet Maldek, and Maldek was we were extremely advanced race of people. He said that robots took care of all the menial tasks on Maldek. We could control the weather. We had abundance of food. And so we lived in utopia. And for some reason, the disease struck in some of these scientists that were on Maldek, and they quarreled among themselves, and this lust for power, which is probably the most temptation, that the greatest temptation, I think, that's eating the apple, was these scientists lust for power, and they created a hydrogen bomb which was 10,000 times more powerful than the hydrogen bomb that we have on Earth today. And in their lust for power, they completely destroyed the planet Maldek, and all that's left of our home planet Maldek is the asteroid belt. And so at that time, man, everybody was released on their different levels of existence on the etheric realms, and man was then, the higher forces had to decide where man could reincarnate, because he was just left out in these etheric realms. And even in those days, the conditions on some of the other planets were not favorable for man, and the Earth as an entity, as a goddess, was approached and asked if she would hold up her evolution so that this race of planetary murderers, which we were, could be reincarnated upon Earth. And so she took this sacrifice by limiting herself, and our race of was reincarnated on Earth, and at that time there was a more advanced race that lived on Earth called Adamic man, and through thousands of years he helped, the mutants that came, the radioactive mutants that came from Maldek, and helped them evolve. Eventually he left, and then we rose again, and we created another culture called Lemuria. Now Lemuria again was a very advanced race of people, a much finer culture that Dr. George King talked about than we have today. And for some reason, the disease struck again, and Lemuria fell in an atomic war. And then thousands of years later, again on and off a world that was radioactively burning, the race of Atlantis came up, and again it rose, and it was again a beautiful culture, and again a mental battle took place, and one side invented uh, a weapon called the Brahma weapon, or weapon of God, which was an atomic bomb, and the other side invented a controllable atomic ray called Indra's dart, and down fell Atlantis. And so, you know, uh, our race went down under the flood, the great flood. The axis flipped, and Atlantis fell under the sea. And so 100,000 years later, just recently, this new civilization called mankind has sprung up. And
And
again,
then it all goes to hell in a handbasket. Wajid Hassan, my guest. I'm Jeremy Scott. The Purging of Humanity. He'll continue that thought when we continue right after this. His book, The Struggle for World Sanity. We'll be right back.
We're streaming 24/7 on the Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live and at paranormalradio.com. Conspiracies and cover-ups, and to the paranormal we go.
UFOs, aliens, ghosts. Hey, you caught me singing in the studio. Hi, it's Jeremy Scott. I occasionally get the question, Jeremy, how do we support the show? We love it, and it's free, but we'd like to support you. Couple of ways. First and foremost, the commercial-free version of the program is available by becoming a Patreon member. $4 a month. You get the program posted without commercials within 24 hours. So go to paranormalradio.com, go to the podcast page, and you can click to become a Patreon member. You can also just give a one-time donation if you'd like to there, or through our PayPal page. And the other way is to support the guests' products through the Amazon links on our website. We don't have all of those overhauled. If there's one you're interested in, you're thinking about buying one, by all means reach out to us and we'll give you that link so that we can get a cut of the sale. It's not going to increase the cost for you. Amazon's just going to return some of their profits to us in return for sending them the sale. So if you're interested in any of the products from our guests, books, DVDs, calendars such as the Haunted BC calendars, go to paranormalradio.com and you'll find the links for those products, or if there's one missing, reach out to us and we'll give that to you, and that's another way that you can support the program. I do thank you all so much for supporting the program. This helps to maintain our costs of everything you see in here. It's a pay-to-play sort of endeavor. Nothing is free, unfortunately. Thanks to your support, though, we keep moving forward in these vital days of getting the information out there. So thank you again so much.
Pair Abnormal News, I'm Brad Bernards. Joshua Huddeglung, 33, was at home when the football-sized meteorite smashed through the veranda at the edge of his living room, according to The Sun. Experts have hailed the 4.5 billion-year-old space rock as one of the most significant meteorite finds ever, saying it could contain elements which give clues to the origins of life. Joshua of Kolang in northern Sumatra has already sold the rock to a specialized collector, giving him enough money to retire and build a new church in his village. He said, "I was working on a coffin near the street in front of my house when I heard a booming sound that made my house shake. It was as if a tree had fallen on us. It was too hot to pick up, so my wife dug it out with a hoe and we took it inside." He was given the equivalent of 30 years' salary for the 2.2-kilogram rock. The kind-hearted dad of 3 pledged to use some of the money to build a church for his community. A low-flying space rock set a record Friday the 13th when 2020 VT4 passed just under 250 miles over the southern Pacific. The asteroid was spotted by the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System survey at the Mauna Loa Observatory in Hawaii in the early morning hours of Saturday, November 14th, just 15 hours after approach. This is not uncommon for fast movers, especially asteroids that are coming at the Earth from our sunward blind spot. The asteroid is estimated to be 16 to 32 feet across. This sets a record for the closest documented non-meteoric asteroid pass versus Earth. Unfortunately, the close passage of asteroid 2020 VT4 seems to have gone unwitnessed. Read more of the news at pairabnormalradio.com. I'm Brad Bernards, Pair Abnormal News.
Depths of a secret dungeon, somewhere deep in the remote Pacific Northwest. You're traveling into the paranormal with Jeremy Scott.
All right, it's the Purging of Humanity. My guest, Wajid Hassan, and he was talking about introducing mankind, the civilization of us humans, us Homo sapiens, mankind as a civilization, and seemingly that's when all things go downhill. But I'll let you continue your point, Wajid.
You know, talking about purges, Jeremy, one of the most atrocious purges in the history of our race recently was of course, been World War One, World War Two.
Yeah,
I mean, talk about a terrible,
and
terrible
World
purge.
War COVID-19. Oh, sorry.
Well, let's hope not. Let's hope not. Let's try to keep positive even on COVID.
No, I agree, and we need to stay positive. And thank you for bringing me back on track, Wajid. I have a tendency to wander.
No. It's normal because the media is creating so much fear, and so they're lapping it up. And, all these deaths of, I wake up in fear and anxiety. I'm like, my God, what's going to happen? Is it the end of the world? But then I just, like you, I breathe and I realize that, if it's not one thing, the media will throw something else. They never throw anything positive. So that's why I love, like things like your show where you're not afraid to tell the truth. You're not afraid to let people know, the reality of what's going on as well. And the fact that, we don't have to focus on one thing and just declare the end of the world. So, so coming back to modern history, after World War One and World War Two, what comes after that? The people who the space, I call them the cosmic masters, because that's what they are. But the cosmic masters, who channeled messages through my master, Dr. George King, they refer to us as a a very primitive, warlike, savage race, and that's exactly what we are. We're a very self-centered, savage race, and you know we have it's it. Instead of a purge, I really believe there's a good friend of mine, Chrissy Blaze, who's a brilliant astrologer. She mentioned that this year 2020 astrologically is there's going to be a change. There's going to be a change in mankind. We're not going to be the same, probably because of COVID, but things astrologically it's demanding that we change as well. But anyway, coming back to the Cold War, and then what do we start to do? You know, for the fourth time, you know, in our history, we started, you know, messing around with the atom. And what did we do? Nagasaki, Hiroshima, you know, the horrible, horrible things. And then we started exploding, you know, the Tsar bomb, which was like 100, 200 times worse than the atom bomb that was dropped on Nagasaki. And that's when the flying saucers appeared in the skies. It caused a tremendous amount of concern in the solar system. That here we go, here comes terrestrial man. He's, you know, you've heard that saying, history always repeats itself. Here he goes again.
Yes, yes,
He's about to,
yes.
you know, he's about to blow up the world again. But this time, it's going to be completely different. So, so the flying saucers appeared in the skies, and action was taken to help balance the terrible atomic, because it was known that the planet Earth, with all the atomic explosions that happened in the 50s, was due to die. She was due to die as a planetary goddess. So they intervened on behalf of the Earth, who's so evolved, you know, millions of lives ahead of mankind. So in order to protect her, they intervened. And so what happened on July the 8th, 1964, the cosmic beings got together, and they sent a tremendous amount of spiritual energy into Mother Earth. She received her initiation, which was long overdue, and she was ordered by these higher beings and even the cosmic masters to take her rightful place in the solar system and in the universe. So after 1964, what's happening every year is that the vibrations of Mother Earth are being slowly raised onto a higher level. So that's the good news, is that the ionosphere, which was put there after the destruction of Lemuria and then intensified after the destruction of Atlantis, is going to slowly come down. The cosmic rays will be more intense. And so every year, because if she suddenly released her energies, mankind would have been fizzled out immediately. So in compassion for mankind, she's holding these energies back. And again, astrologically, this is the end of the cycle of the Piscean age, and we're now in the age of Aquarius. And the age of Aquarius is forcing mankind into service for each other, helping each other. It's forcing mankind to raise its vibrations. Now, as you know, as the Mother Earth is raising her vibrations every year, the seasons are going to gradually change. The ice caps are already melting, and so don't believe this thing that the global warming is because of carbon emissions. That's just a small aspect of it, and I wish the world governments would tell the people the reality of what's happening, which is that the Mother Earth is raising her vibrations, and these things
She's
are
pissed
causing.
off.
I'm sorry?
Is she pissed off?
No. If she was pissed off, she would have let us go millions of years ago. It's in her divine compassion that she's allowed mankind to stay even after the destruction of Lemuria and Atlantis, and even
she's very patient.
yeah, she's a beautiful goddess, and so she didn't ask, she still wanted mankind to stay, but there comes an end to suffering of any being. And I think the time has come now for the Mother Earth to rise. Um, a lot of the indigenous tribes, especially the American Indians, they've talked about this. They're close to the Mother Earth, and they talked about that the Mother Earth is going to rise years before this initiation took place. It was in their folklore, and these indigenous people are the ones who are the real custodians and guardians of this earth. Western man has done nothing but raped the planet and took all her resources and polluted her. And it's time now for us to go back to the natural laws, and that's what's happening today. Is that the vibrations are being raised, and it's up to mankind now, even in this dark hour, to change. And if he doesn't change, it won't be a purge, but he will, through death, he will eventually, in the years to come, those who are not willing to change, all the warmongers and all the nasty people who've just destroyed mankind, and they will through death, they will be taken to another planet in this solar system. I think scientists have referred it to as Planet X, and it's in the same orbit cycle of Mother Earth, but it's on the other side of the sun. It can't be seen, but their mathematical projections have proved that there is a planet on the other side of the solar system, which they refer to as Planet X. And so here's the good thing: those people who are willing to raise their vibrations, who are willing to help each other, help the Mother Earth, they will stay, and a new age of peace and enlightenment, not might, it will occur on this planet, and that's the hope I want to give to your listeners tonight.
Can we speed it
and
up
there's
at all?
ways that we can. I'm sorry.
Can we speed it up at all?
Yes, we can speed it up by cooperating with the cosmic masters. We can speed it up by helping uh, uh, the people who man the spacecraft to bring in the light to Earth. Because again, you probably know this, and your listeners probably know this, but people in general, they all laugh at life on other planets, and what the what we need to understand is that, I mean, the Hindu religion and the Buddhist religions, they talk about different levels of existence that we go to when we die. And my master, Dr. George King, was able to project to these different levels, and he said that there are 4 levels below us called the lower astral realms, or the hells, and there's 6 or 7 levels above us. And so when we die, we go to some, based on our vibration, we go to these levels, and then we stay there for a while, and then we come back, and and that's the cycle of reincarnation, which again the cosmic masters are telling people that it's important now that reincarnation be taught it as well. It would really make a big difference for mankind. So coming back to these levels of existence, most scientists laugh at the possibility of life on planets in the solar system, never mind outside of the solar system. But what Dr. King said, he said there's advanced life living on every planet, maybe not Mercury, but every planet in the solar system. Now, logically speaking, that doesn't make sense, because our frail human bodies will not be able to withstand living on Mars or Venus or Jupiter or Saturn. But coming back to these levels of existence, he was able to project from his body and go to some of the higher levels of existence, maybe level 5 and 6, and realize that there are higher beings living on Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, and these are the beings that man these spacecraft. These are the higher beings that are millions of years advanced than us, not only scientifically but also spiritually. And these are the beings who are actually asking mankind to come together. And one way that we can do that is that they're able to manipulate energies coming from the sun through their advanced craft. And like if you look at basic terrestrial technology, like cell phone technology, I mean these days, using a GPS satellite, we can pretty much pinpoint anybody on the planet. So this is just basic terrestrial technology, and we're very, very amazed that we can do that right now. But if you advance that millions of years, they have right now there's a spacecraft that's in orbit of Earth right now called satellite number 3, which is in orbit of Earth till December the 10th, and that's manned by these higher beings. And on board these, in fact, the master was able to project to this spacecraft, and he has a fantastic description of this spacecraft in his book, The 9 Freedoms, which your listeners can get on Amazon. And in this spacecraft are highly advanced radionic computer systems, and the controller of the spacecraft is a being by the name of Mars Sector 6. And through a transmission, this is the hope for your listeners. Through a transmission that came through our master, he said that on the spacecraft, satellite number 3, they have a complete and absolute dossier of every live stream. We're not talking about humans only, plants, animals, birds, rocks. They have a complete dossier on their computer systems of every live stream on planet Earth that resided in the past. They have a complete dossier of every live stream that is residing on planet Earth right now, and every live stream that will reside on planet Earth in the future. So what he said is that these space cosmic masters, they have a complete, they're completely online with every live stream, and the way that every person, every listener, everybody on this planet can contact the cosmic masters. We can all be space contactees. They respond by the velocity of thought. So I think the velocity of thought through the human body, I think, is around 600 miles per hour, but in free space, it's been calculated that the velocity of thought is 4 million times the speed of light. And so we, as terrestrials, I've been around, you've been around, and I got to tell you, Jeremy, I don't trust the economic system on this planet. I don't trust the no, no, I don't.
Just wait until it's under the hands of the New World Order, and then we're really screwed.
Well, exactly. I don't trust politicians. Politics is all based on lies. It doesn't matter who's in power. It's all based on lies and deceit, and everybody putting each other down. Nobody's cooperating. One side is at each other's the throats of the other side. Nobody's loving each other. So politics, and then I don't really care too much for Orthodox religion. And talking about purges, I think Orthodox religion has created a lot of purges over the history of this, bloody purges over the history based on religion. And so I don't trust that either. What the Cosmic Masters are saying is, again, don't look down on your iPhone and on the gloom and doom, but look up to us, and we can instantly contact them with the speed of thought, and their advanced radionic computer systems can pick up the thoughts, not only on this level, but on level 4 levels below us and 7 levels above us. They have complete control. This is beyond science fiction. This is beyond science fiction. If this was a science fiction story, it won't be believed that our race could destroy ourselves 3 times, and we're on the brink of destroying ourselves now. And so we were at one time, when we were on Maldek and when we were on Lemuria and Atlantis, we did have direct contact with the space intelligences, and they helped us, but they never forced us to listen. And we're just a crazy race. We're just destroying ourselves. So the answer for planet Earth right now is, we talk about starvation, we talk about lack of, resources. And back in the 1970s, my master, Dr. George King, he said that there's only one energy crisis on this planet, and that's the spiritual energy crisis. And if you solve this crisis, all other crises, not only in your personal life but between countries, will automatically be resolved. And we as terrestrials, we focus too much on the physical body. We're into exercise and diet and stuff like that. But what they don't realize, based on the conditions that we have right now on planet Earth, there's a terrible famine going on right now. It's a spiritual famine. We're starving our souls, and our souls, our spiritual bodies, are the most important part of us. That's what we take when we die, and we're starving ourselves there. With all these terrible things that are happening on the planet. So what the cosmic masters are saying is look to the skies, look to us, ask us to send you the light, the pranic energy that comes. It's a very tangible energy. It's not something that's airy and fairy. It's done very scientifically, and just like certain metals conduct electricity and transmit them, we also are conductors of spiritual energy. And what we need is a spiritual purge right now, not a religious one. We need a spiritual purge. And so if we think of these cosmic masters, we may not get a message from them, we may not get a sighting, but we will get this energy flowing through us. That'll go through our psychic centers, through the heart center, to the centers in the palms of the hand. And all we have to do is just raise our hands, ask for this energy as a white light going through the brain, over the shoulders, and send it out as a beam of white light, as a transmuting energy to the world. That's all we have to do. It's not rocket science, it's cosmic science. They do all the work. All we have to do is ask for it. And that's the hope that I'm trying to let your listeners know tonight, that we don't have to rely on terrestrials anymore, because we've been manipulated over the centuries. We've been brainwashed, and we've been molded into creating all these terrible disasters. And what they're saying is, it's time to look up and bring down the light and send out the light and transmute this earth, and be part of Mother Earth. As Mother Earth rises, we can be part of her and enjoy this beautiful new age that's going to come on planet Earth in the next several hundred years. So that's my message tonight.
And your yogi master says that there's nothing that we can do. There's no force in the world that can stop this from happening. It's inevitable.
Exactly. Nothing. Not the politicians, not the corporations, not the warmongers. These endless wars. Nothing is going to stop this rise, because, like I say, either we conform to this rise by raising our vibrations, or we leave. And that's it. And I think it's the greatest hope I've ever heard of, because I don't have to look up to anybody here. I can look up to the skies, and I can ask for the light. There was another message that was sent through my master, Dr. George King, and they said that there was another planetary race outside of the solar system that was going through a similar dark cycle that we are going through right now, I would say it's the end of days, absolutely. And but they listened. They listened to the messages. They listened to the appeals, and they opened their hearts and minds to the pranic energies.
Hence the title of the book, The Struggle for World Sanity. It's an ongoing struggle. My guest is Wajid Hassan. I'm Jeremy Scott from the cold, dark depths of a secret dungeon somewhere deep in the remote Pacific Northwest.
Want to chat with like-minded thinkers? Join Into the Paranormal Facebook group. It'll blow your mind.
directed from Russia to America, and there was nuclear missiles, directed to Russia and Cuba, and we were on the brink of a nuclear holocaust. And the forces of light stopped that, and they're also providing protection. The hierarchy on these higher realms, they're providing a form of protection for mankind to stop these monsters from creating this destruction. Because if they do, um, everybody will be taken off, and they'll increase their power, and nobody will be left behind to enjoy this new age that's coming forward. So I also wanted to let your listeners know that this is also happening as well, and even more important, why we have to participate in this invisible war, which is again an energy war. It's the energy of it's the dark energy against the white energy, and so again, it's something that's real that mankind is probably not even aware of, because we're not even advanced enough to go to these realms and witness these ourselves. So it involves highly evolved masters who go down there and are protecting mankind at this time. So it may be, Jeremy, that things could actually get worse before they get better. What don't you think?
Do I think it's going to get worse before it gets better? Oh, you bet. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So so that's the situation right now that we're all facing, every man, woman, and child on this earth. And so the cosmic masters, they love us. They want us. They have such compassion for us as a human race. They don't look at the human race as a bunch of Chinese or American or short ball Pakistanis like me. They they look at us as terrestrial man, and they've seen what we used to be like. They've seen us as advanced beings. They've seen our rise, and they must be devastated to see our fall. And so they're offering these unconditional energies to help raise mankind, and they work 24 hours a day. And again, this is, we terrestrial man, we work so we earn a living and we expect something in return. And these beings work 24 hours a day, sending beams. And also, they don't just send beams to people who are like nice and spiritual. They said we'll send it to a mass murderer if at that time he wants to help or serve. So they send energies to the lower realms, to the higher realms, to anybody who uses this energy. And it's our duty as world citizens to cooperate right now and be part of the great change that's going to happen, and not bring it down. It's been said that for any man that murders another man on this planet, it brings a whole race down. And then for any individual who raises and heals another person or helps another person, it raises the whole upward. So we have to again get back to basics and realize that we're not a bunch of different races. We're all here operating as different races, as different religions, as men, as women. But another thing that I wrote in my book, with the Cosmic Masters are really pushing right now, is that the world needs to know about the truth about the law of reincarnation. And did you know that the Christian religion at one time used to teach reincarnation, and then they had this meeting in Constantinople in 700 AD where the elders said that the followers were not ready for reincarnation and put in this one life rubbish, so that they could keep control. And a lot of the other religions do that as well, this one life thing. And so the Cosmic Masters are also saying that reincarnation needs to be taught to the whole world. Why? Because first thing is you'd be very careful about killing somebody if you knew that that person was, your brother or sister or mother in the last life. And it also explains the law of so-called law of inequality on this planet. Why somebody's rich, why somebody's poor, why somebody's born blind, why somebody has cancer when they're 2 years old, why somebody is an expert pianist at the age of 3. All these come back to lessons learned in a previous life. And so you know uh, all this race war would eventually die down, because how can you be attached to a particular race when you know that in this life that's probably the race you're going to be part of. But as a Chinese, you could come back as a white man, or as a woman, you may come back as a man. As a man, you may come back as an Eskimo. I mean, we've been through millions and millions of lives, and we have to go through these lives in order to learn the lessons we need to learn, in order to raise our vibrations and become, and go back to becoming the gods that we were. So that's another push that the cosmic masters are throwing out, is to teach the law of reincarnation.
I think I was a microphone in a previous life. I had to have been either that or a radio. It would make most sense to me. I've been thinking about this great change. Others call it the reset. I like to call it the purge. I think we're all kind of pretty much talking about the same thing, starting anew. And so the great change that you discuss here, what is that like? I mean, I have my own mental image of what that might be, but I want to hear it from you.
Well, I could read you what the great change is going to be like, based on a vision that my master had when he was in deep meditation. I could read you what the great change will look like. I could do that for you listeners.
Okay.
We could maybe do that towards the end of the show, as a way of describing exactly what the Earth will look like in the years to come. And another thing that I want to also let your listeners know is that it's also been prophesized that another great savior or a Messiah is going to come to Earth to lead mankind out of this mess. That's also been prophesied by my master, Dr. George King. He got a direct message. Some say it's going to be Jesus. Some say it's going to be the Imam Mahdi. Some say it's going to be, they have different opinions. But based on what the cosmic masters have said, is that the next spiritual world leader will come, and he will land openly in front of everybody in a flying saucer, and he will land openly. They say he's going to be about 7 feet tall, a humanoid with a shining countenance in a one-piece silver suit. And he will approach the Earth leaders, and they will ask of his credentials. And he will produce these credentials. And his powers will be so colossal, his mind powers will be so colossal, from what the message said, that he will have more power than the combined military might of all the armies of the world. This is the kind of colossal master that will be landing on Earth in the near future, probably at the time when probably mankind is probably, I think master mentioned maybe the financial institutions probably collapsed, and mankind is just really in probably a worse mess than ever. And he will lead he won't come as a mass murderer or a dictator. He will not kill anybody, but he will show his strength. One thing that the master said that he may do is maybe move the Statue of Liberty from New York to the other side of the coast of America with his mind. That's the kind of power that he will have. And so he will address mankind and tell mankind, okay, either you change or you leave. And again, this will be in mercy. This will not be, like you said, a purge. This will not be a violent, bloody purge. Those who are not ready, actually in mercy, will be taken through death. When they go to the other realms, they will be taken to this new planet, because they first of all, they would hinder all those spiritually minded people who stay. They would bring them down, and also they won't be able to stand uh, the high spiritual vibrations of those days. And so uh, that's also something that we'll probably all experience, because we'll be back in different future lives, and that's going to be very interesting times when the next master comes.
Yes. So is this change happening now? I mean, has it been implemented? Are there some things that maybe we might notice, or is this all not noticeable?
Well, the biggest notice is the change in the weather. There's been, like I said, the ice caps are melting, and it's got nothing to do with carbon emissions. This is part. See, that's what the governments have to realize and tell the populace. Look, which the indigenous tribes have been saying, or for centuries, who are custodians of planet Earth, that that this is part of the change. The global warming is a change. So that's a big sign that it started, because what they've said is, as Mother Earth's vibrations rise, the four seasons will actually become one. So there'll be a temperate temperature around. There won't be winter, autumn, fall, spring. There'll be a temperate temperature, maybe similar to like Hawaii. When I went to Hawaii, they keeps a beautiful temperate temperature of like 70, 72 degrees all around the year, and it's just so beautiful. Wish I could live in Hawaii. So it's going to be that kind of atmosphere, but that's eventually going to change, and there will be flooding to different countries, but with the ice caps melting, and again, that's part of the great change. And it's very important also, because of the great change. One thing that people don't realize is that when we were on Maldek, we could control the weather, and we can still control the reasons why we're getting a lot of these violent hurricanes and earthquakes and tornadoes.
Bomba Genesis, Sharknado, the list goes on and on.
It's a direct result of us of course, most people are aware that there's invisible nature spirits called the devas that manipulate energy. They help grow the crops, and they help Mother Nature. They're an intricate part of Mother Nature, and through the centuries, they will only work according to the energies that mankind sends out to them. And so all these earthquakes and famines and all these so-called natural catastrophes, they're a direct result of our own mental pollution. Not only physical pollution, but we also send out mental pollution with our hatred and our jealousies and all these terrible thoughts that come through us, which all of us, including myself, are guilty of. And so we need to change that to cooperating and sending out the light to the nature spirits. And one thing that will the global weather change for the Mother Earth is going to be gradual. It's not going to be a violent one. So these violent weather conditions that are occurring is still a result of our own folly. And so one thing, if we start cooperating by sending out spiritual energies, one thing that we'll notice immediately is better weather conditions around the world. So we as a race, are totally responsible for all these weather calamities. We can't blame it on Mother Nature. We create it.
Well said. I've always kind of envisioned it as like a Noah's Ark Great Flood type of situation where the good people, the followers, those who are putting out the good vibration, so to speak, are loaded up into the ark, and those who are not loaded up into the ark, and those who are not loaded up onto the ark don't survive the Great Flood. It's the purging of humanity. My guest is Wajid Hassan, and I'm Jeremy Scott from the cold, dark depths of a secret dungeon somewhere deep in the remote Pacific Northwest. Brad Bernard's and Paranormal News coming up.
Stream us on your favorite apps from anywhere in the world, anytime, day or night. Into the Paranormal with Jeremy Scott.
We go.
UFOs, aliens, ghosts. Hey, you caught me singing in the studio. Hi, it's Jeremy Scott. You know, I occasionally get the question, Jeremy, how do we support the show? We love it, and it's free, but we'd like to support you. Couple of ways. First and foremost, the commercial-free version of the program is available by becoming a Patreon member. $4 a month. You get the program posted without commercials within 24 hours. So go to paranormalradio.com, go to the podcast page, and you can click to become a Patreon member. You can also just give a one-time donation if you'd like to there or through our PayPal page. And the other way is to support the guests' products through the Amazon links on our website. We don't have all of those overhauled. If there's one you're interested in, you're thinking about buying one, by all means reach out to us and we'll give you that link so that we can get a cut of the sale. It's not going to increase the cost for you. Amazon's just going to return some of their profits to us in return for sending them the sale. So if you're interested in any of the products from our guests, books, DVDs, calendars such as the Haunted BC calendars, go to paranormalradio.com and you'll find the links for those products, or if there's one missing, reach out to us and we'll give that to you, and that's another way that you can support the program. I do thank you all so much for supporting the program. This helps to maintain our costs of everything you see in here. It's a pay-to-play sort of endeavor. Nothing is free, unfortunately. Thanks to your support, though, we keep moving forward in these vital days of getting the information out there. So thank you again so much.